he hopped off the bed after the second surgery and supposedly started fighting the nurse and asked the nurse, where's his gun at? Something like that.
Yeah, the drama at the hospital adds another wild layer to the whole story. After King Von got shot, it wasn't just about the fight at the club or parking lot. When he was rushed to the hospital, Wando's crew apparently showed up trying to bring more heat. It's crazy how even in that vulnerable moment, the tension didn't die down. What did Von's cousins say about that?
Was he alive at the hospital? You know?
I believe he died during surgery.
King Von's death is starting to make more sense as people piece together the events of that night. On November 6th, 2020, the rap community was shaken when Devin DeCoin Bennett, known as King Von, was tragically killed. At just 26 years old, Von had recently released his debut studio album Welcome to Aw Block and was rapidly rising in the industry under the mentorship of Lil Durk and the Only the Family crew. Growing up in Chicago's dangerous Aw Block, Von's journey from the streets to stardom was nothing short of remarkable. Born in 1994, he had faced multiple jail stints before Lil Durk signed him in 2018, after which he quickly established himself as one of drill music's hardest voices. Despite his success, Von's life was cut short in a violent confrontation that reflected the harsh realities he had always faced. King Von's storytelling was a key part of his rise, with tracks like Crazy Story showcasing his raw narrative, style, and authentic street perspective, which quickly gained him attention and respect in the rap game. What was supposed to be a night of celebration for his album release took a tragic turn outside Atlanta's Monaco Hookah Lounge in the early morning hours. A face-to-face confrontation between King Von and Quando Rondo, an artist signed to NBA, Young Boys Never Broke Again label, escalated into a deadly shootout that claimed Von's life and impacted many artists in the industry. The events that led to Von getting shot began earlier that night at Opium nightclub in Atlanta, where he was hosting his album release party, according to his manager, 100K Track. King Von's squad had no plans to go anywhere else that night, but Von made a spontaneous decision to head over to Monaco Hookah Lounge, arriving ahead of most of his entourage. This choice would tragically prove fatal. After being shot outside the club, King Von was rushed to a hospital in Atlanta, fighting for his life. According to his manager, 100K Track, who was also injured during the incident, Von remained alert during the ride to the hospital. The severity of his injuries was clear from the start, with reports confirming he was hit multiple times with hollow point bullets at close range. Despite Von's resilience and the medical staff's efforts, he ultimately didn't survive. Track confirmed in an interview with DJ Academics that Von passed away during surgery when asked if he was alive at the hospital. The news of King Von catching a body bag sent shockwaves through the rap community, especially in Chicago, where he had risen from the notorious Aw Block neighborhood to become one of drill music's most authentic voices. His death at the peak of his career made the loss hit differently for fans and fellow artists alike. Big names like Chance the Rapper, Polo G, and NLE Choppa took to social media to pay their respects, many praising Von's storytelling ability and realness in his music. In the days following his death, rumors swirled about what really happened at the hospital, while Asian Doll, Von's ex, caused a stir on social media, adding fuel to the wild speculation. Asian Doll claimed to know King Von's last words, suggesting that his own crew had left him hanging. She tweeted things like, "Van's last words were, 'Y'all let them up on me. Stop crying. Y'all let them get me,' implying that his squad failed to protect him. However, 100K Track, Von's manager, directly called out this narrative as false in his interview, putting those rumors to rest.
That is completely false. First of all, no disrespect to Asian Doll. And we spoke this morning because I seen some of the tweets and some of the stuff, and I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, bro, I know you mourning and you hurt like everybody else, but you need to slow down because one, you wasn't there. So how can you make assumption and accuse guys of doing this and that? And the last words that she's talking about, and it's in a text message, and I can show you, she's talking to Von through her spiritual advisor from after death.
Track went on to reveal that Asian Doll and King Von had already broken up before the incident, clarifying that Van had nothing to do with her at the time he got shot, though he still had love for her. This added even more layers to the already complicated story surrounding Van's final hours. The details of his last moments in the hospital have been the subject of intense speculation, including rumors about attempts to save him and who was present. According to Track, despite the medical staff's best efforts, Van's injuries from the close-range shooting were simply too severe. The hospital where Vaughn was treated has neither confirmed nor denied any unusual events during his treatment, maintaining the typical silence medical facilities observe in such situations. Medical experts have noted that gunshot wounds like those Vaughn suffered can cause massive blood loss and shock, making surgery highly risky, especially given the proximity of the shots to vital organs, which likely made saving him nearly impossible. Without official medical records being released, the exact details of his treatment remain confidential. Meanwhile, Lil Timothy Leaks, the right-hand man of Quando Rondo and the one who fired the shots that hit King Vaughn, was also wounded in the incident and required medical attention. In a recent interview, Lil Tim described his own chaotic experience at the hospital, highlighting the confusion and tension that unfolded after the shooting. It's hard to believe, but while recovering from his injuries, Lil Tim was actually booked for King Vaughn's murder. He later made bail in March 2021, and in August 2023, all charges against him were dropped under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. This legal decision supported his claim of self-defense, but did nothing to ease the ongoing beef between fans and associates of both artists. What's clear is that despite making it to the hospital alive, Van's wounds, reportedly 4 shots at close range, were too severe for him to survive. This tragic outcome set the stage for ongoing tensions, accusations, and violence that would continue for years. Meanwhile, rumors began circulating about additional beefs and conflicts that allegedly took place at the hospital itself. There were rumors that Rondo's crew somehow got to Vaughn while he was receiving treatment at the hospital. However, these claims don't line up with first-hand accounts from people who were actually there that night, including 100K Track's detailed breakdown of the events and the strict hospital security protocols in place. Track emphasized how deeply Van's death impacted those closest to him, describing the overwhelming sense of loss felt by his team and inner circle when they realized he wouldn't make it. For Van's Oblak brothers, who had been with him through everything, losing Vaughn wasn't just about losing a successful rapper. It was losing a brother who had been leading them all toward a better life. To really understand that tragic night and everything that followed, it's important to examine the relationship between King Vaughn and Quando Rondo before the fatal encounter, as well as how Quando's crew has described what happened that night and at the hospital. From Quando Rondo's perspective and the accounts of his affiliates, the relationship between King Vaughn and Quando wasn't marked by a long-standing beef. In fact, there's footage of them hanging out backstage at events, and Quando had previously collaborated with Lil Durk on the track Other Side, which also featured Ganana. This suggests that at one point, these artists were on good terms before things took a deadly turn. The industry connections between these rappers were complicated, with Quando Rondo signed to NBA Young Boys Never Broke Again label, which had its own tensions with Lil Durk's F Camp. However, before November 2020, there wasn't any public beef directly between Quando and Vaughn. In fact, Quando had previously shown love to Chicago rappers like Lil Durk, stating in interviews that he thought they should be considered legends in the game. The circumstances that led these two artists to be at the same spot in the early morning hours of November 6, 2020, appear to be coincidental rather than planned. In interviews, both Quando's and Vaughn's camps have described the encounter as unexpected. Quando Rondo has consistently stated that the altercation was a sudden attack. In his interview with Angela Yee, he explained that he had just stepped out of the car and started walking when he turned around and saw a group approaching. In his mind, everything felt normal. He assumed they would simply pass by and had no intention of confronting or walking through them. He also mentioned that he had been unconscious in the car moments before and had only just woken up shortly, before the incident occurred. Quando Rondo claimed he had no idea Vaughn was nearby and was completely blindsided when Vaughn suddenly rushed at him without saying a word. He described the moment as an out-of-body experience, highlighting how fast and unexpected the attack felt. His account is supported by security footage from the scene, which shows Vaughn walking straight up to Quando and throwing punches without any visible exchange beforehand. This video has been used by Quando's supporters to argue that Vaughn was the aggressor. Lil Tim, who was with Quando that night, was also present during the incident. Lil Tim, who ultimately fired the fatal shots, has also shared what was going through his mind in that critical moment. In his interview, he explained his mindset, consistently stating that he acted to protect Quando Rondo, who was being confronted without provocation. His claim of self-defense was later upheld by the legal system when, in August 2023, murder charges against him were dropped under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, a statute that permits the use of deadly force if someone reasonably believes it's necessary to prevent death or serious harm. In detailed retellings of that night, Lou Tim has broken down exactly what happened. Lou Tim emphasized how unprepared they were for any kind of confrontation, admitting he wasn't even paying attention to who was in the parking lot. "I wasn't really checking for anyone," he said. "I'm not from Atlanta, so I don't know people out here. It's not like I was scanning faces to recognize anyone. I wasn't even looking around to see if I spotted someone I knew, because this isn't my city." Lou Tim recalled that he was on the phone when the chaos erupted. After he fired shots, police on the scene began shooting back wildly, putting everyone at risk. During the exchange, Lou Tim was hit in the hip and buttocks, though it's unclear if those bullets came from King Von's crew or the police. His account, along with Quando Rondo's, makes it clear that neither he nor Quando expected or planned any confrontation that night. They had simply gone to the spot to visit an after-hours venue when Vaughn suddenly rushed in and started attacking without any warning. Track highlighted how unusual King Von's behavior was that night, emphasizing how differently he moved. "For some reason, Vaughn wasn't himself," Track admitted. "I can't make this up. This is someone who's usually sharper than security, someone you trust on the road because he knows how to handle things." He explained that Vaughn jumped out of the car as soon as he found out Quando was nearby, without the careful planning or caution he usually showed. This impulsive action sparked the confrontation that tragically ended Vaughn's life. Track's observation that Vaughn was acting out of character that night supports Quando's claim that the attack was sudden and completely unexpected. After the shooting, both Quando Rondo and Lou Tim left the scene as chaos unfolded. Police opened fire on multiple people, causing more casualties. In his interview, Track confirmed that 2 men linked to King Von, Bray and Louis, were also shot, with Aur losing his life and Louis surviving a gunshot to the head. Shortly after, Quando Rondo went live on Instagram outside the hospital, showing Lou Tim injured and waiting for medical care. This live stream sparked mixed reactions, with some seeing it as disrespectful and others viewing it as a way to document what happened. Quando Rondo has opened up about the backlash he's faced since King Von's death, despite insisting he was the victim of an unprovoked attack. In a 2024 interview with No Jumper, he acknowledged the hate but remained unfazed. "So bees, fans aren't going to be the same," he said. "Anyone against me because of what happened in the past? I don't care about them. They were never really fans to begin with." When asked if he regretted going to the Hook Lounge that night, he simply responded, "I don't even want to talk about that." Quando Rondo expressed a fatalistic view of the events, saying, "When God calls you home, you got to go, brother." He seems to accept the deep divide the situation caused among fans, recognizing that many of Von's supporters may never back him, no matter the circumstances. In the days after King Von's death, Quando released a track called End of Story, sharing his side of the story. In the song, he defended Lou Tim's actions as self-defense with powerful lines like, "Blood on your brother on the ground, going your man's up, damn right." Quando Rondo has been vocal about claiming self-defense, insisting that Vaughn should never have put his hands on him. In his track, he directly addressed Vaughn with lines like, "Van tried to take it, I defended my name." This song, along with comments Durante performances, has been seen by Vaughn's fans as deeply disrespectful. For example, during a virtual show in April 2021, Quando reportedly said, "He got caught without that pole, and now that Wayor is gone, I'll piss" on his grave. However, Quando later denied that this was a diss aimed at Vaughn, saying he wasn't aware of Vaughn's series of controversial songs. King Von's death has had a huge impact on Quando Rondo's career, with shows canceled and collaborations falling apart. He said he feels blackballed by the industry, even though he maintains he was the victim. His tour schedule suffered as venues cited security concerns and threats against him. While the exact cause of the confrontation is still unclear, Various accounts suggest tensions had been rising since 2020. Some theories link the conflict to NBA Youngboy, Quando's label boss, due to issues with Vaughn over his connection to Youngboy's ex-girlfriend, Jay. Others point to subtle social media or music dices. However, just a day before the incident, King Von downplayed rumors of any serious beef with NBA Youngboy in a video posted on November 5, 2020. Van clarified that he had no real conflict with Youngboy, directly challenging rumors that the tension ran deep. Meanwhile, Quando Rondo's camp presents a united front, insisting they weren't the aggressors and that Lou Tim acted in defense of Quando during an unprovoked attack. They argue that despite being victims, they have faced unfair backlash and violence. These views sharply contrast with the accounts shared by King Von's supporters. As for what unfolded at the hospital, accounts from Quando's camp do not mention any attempts by his affiliates to confront Vaughn while he was receiving medical treatment. Verified reports show that Quando's crew was focused on their own emergencies, with Lou Tim needing care for his gunshot wounds. The story of a hospital confrontation doesn't align with the timelines provided by witnesses on both sides. The lasting impact and aftermath of King Von's death continue to reverberate. The shooting death of King Von and its aftermath have sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, with effects still felt years later. The tragedy has impacted numerous artists and their careers, fueling a deadly cycle of retaliation. The hardest blow was to Chicago's O-Black community, where Vaughn was not only a successful rapper, but a leader raising up his entire crew. His murder sparked deep grief and calls for revenge on social media, with Slide for Vaughn becoming a rallying cry among fans and associates, targeting Quando Rondo and his circle. Vaughn's manager, Track, has spoken openly about the profound effect of his death on himself and those close to the rapper. In an interview with DJ Academics, he voiced frustration over how the story around Vaughn's death has been portrayed online, asserting, "I'll stand on that. Everybody y'all trying to drag on the internet, y'all don't have half." Track stressed the deep loyalty King Von's crew had for him, saying, "Y'all probably don't have half the loyalty they have for Van, even compared to your own family." His words reveal the close-knit bond within Von's circle, and his frustration with online critics who doubted the loyalty of those present that night. He pointed out that the fast and chaotic nature of the confrontation left almost no time for anyone to react before shots were fired. For those in Vaughn's block, the loss was profound. These weren't just casual acquaintances, but brothers who had grown up and survived hardships together. "The same people y'all dragging? These aren't strangers or friends he met 3 months ago," Track emphasized. "These are people Van has known since he was around 7 years old," Track said, highlighting the depth of their bond. "Come on, bro, from the whole drill era, they've lost so many together." This sense of brotherhood and loyalty made Van's death especially hard for his inner circle. According to Track, Van's squad from O-Black wasn't just an entourage. They were family, and his success was meant to lift them all out of the streets. Track shared that Vaughn was already securing homes and cars for his crew, showing how dedicated he was to raising everyone up. Meanwhile, Quando Rondo and his team have faced heavy backlash, with Quando speaking openly about feeling blackballed in the industry as venues cancel his shows and artists refuse to collaborate with him. In his No Jumper interview, Quando Rondo expressed frustration at being portrayed as the villain, despite insisting he was the victim of an unprovoked attack. The financial toll on his career has been significant. Beyond canceled shows and lost collaborations, he struggled to secure deals and opportunities that were once readily available. This economic fallout has affected not only Quando, but also his team and dependents, creating ripple effects beyond those directly involved. Legally, the case has been complicated. Lil Tim was initially charged with King Von's murder but was released on bond in March 2021. Then, in August 2023, all charges were dropped under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, effectively confirming his claim that he acted in defense of Quando Rondo. While this cleared Lil Tim legally, it did. Although the legal ruling cleared Lil Tim, it did little to change public opinion among King Von's fans and supporters. Tragically, the violence didn't stop there. In August 2022, Quando Rondo was targeted in a shooting in Los Angeles that took the life of his cousin, Lupab Sevilla Robinson. Federal indictments filed in October 2024 allege that Lil Durk and 5 others tied to the F-Gang orchestrated this attack as retaliation for Vaughn's death. The indictment reveals chilling details. F members reportedly used a longtime affiliate to track Quando's location at an LA hotel, flew several people from Chicago to California, rented vehicles, grabbed ski masks, and followed him for hours, before opening fire when his car stopped at a gas station. This level of planning points to a premeditated act of revenge, not a spur-of-the-moment incident. While Lil Pab was killed, Quando survived by ducking the shots, likely because he wasn't pumping gas when the shooter struck. In October 2024, Lil Durk and 5 others were charged with murder for hire related to the attack, facing serious federal charges carrying life sentences, including conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and using a machine gun in a violent crime. In April 2025, Lil Durk's legal team moved to dismiss the case, arguing prosecutors unfairly used lyrics from a song recorded 7 months before the shooting as evidence. This ongoing case highlights the contentious debate over rap lyrics as courtroom evidence, with many defending artists against being criminalized for their artistic expression. When asked about Lil Durk's possible life sentence, Lil Tim offered a fatalistic view, underscoring how one violent moment spiraled into multiple tragedies. What began as a confrontation outside a hookah lounge has since led to multiple deaths, federal cases, and careers forever changed, impacting not just those involved, but their families, friends, business associates, and fan communities. For more stories like this, check out the video on your screen now.